I've been looking forward to this one. Lo and behold, Reveries of the Connected World. It's Werner Herzog's new documentary. It is a fairly freewheeling look at various disturbing but also occasionally uplifting aspects of the internet. So how it began as a way to connect people, connect a bunch of computer academics across America, but it has now exploded into something else, obviously exploded into a phenomenon that often does the very opposite of connecting people. Often it disenfranchises people. Certainly not a new thing. And Werner is doing it in his own idiosyncratic style. He's a bit like a man who's just discovered the internet and goes, wow, this newfangled internet thing is amazing. I must make a documentary about it. So there are 10 chapters, which each have their own story and point. And all, of course, are tied together by Werner's unique voiceover and interviewing style, his breathy Germanic tones. It's kind of like a cross between Arnold Schwarzenegger and Mariella Frostrup, isn't it? His voice is pretty amazing. Anyway, you will hear him in this. This is a clip from, lo and behold, Reveries of the Connected World.
One of the science buildings here is considered the birthplace of the internet. This picture of some of the scientists involved was taken at this very moment. The corridors here look repulsive, and yet this one leads to some sort of a shrine reconstructed years later when its importance had sunk in.
Let's enter this very special place. We're now entering a sacred location. It's the location where the internet began. It's a holy place, and we've just come back to 1969 when the critical events of the origin began. That machine over there is the first piece of the internet equipment ever installed. It's a mini computer, which we now call a packet switch. This is a military hardened machine. You can't break it.
And there's a section where he visits internet addicts and speaks to them about how it took over their lives. There's a bit where he visits an observatory, this astronomical observatory space station, and the whole area, several square miles, it needs to be free of Wi-Fi and mobile signals, so they don't interfere with the readings from the observatory. So this area has actually become a community for people who are allergic to a lot of phone signals and internet signals, and they've all moved there because the air is clear and their sickness is gone. There's a very chilling section where he meets a family who were trolled on the internet after their daughter died and photos of her went online. So it's full of ideas, fairly philosophical ideas at some points. Does the internet dream of itself is one of the great questions. And lots of pioneers in the field interviewed. And it's fascinating. It does seem at first scattergun. You are watching each chapter, each new story that is linked by the internet, but they're all very different stories, wondering how is this really all going to tie together? But I think by the 10th chapter, it's only a 90-minute film, it does all tie together. And of course, it's tied together by the quirkiness, the eccentricity of Werner Herzog, both of his voice and his voiceover, but also just what he decides to talk about and to focus on. You don't pay to go and see a Werner Herzog movie to get something mainstream and predictable. You want something a little odd and unusual, and you definitely get that. I didn't really get the bit where there are scenes of Buddhist monks to the strains of Are You Lonesome Tonight by Elvis Presley. I didn't really understand what he was saying, but it works because you want Werner Herzog to come at these things from a weird and unusual angle, and he does do that. I think it's a really smart and likably peculiar documentary.